When Rosa Martinez asked Elon Musk to leave her small Mexican restaurant in San Francisco, no one knew why. Video of the confrontation went viral within hours, splitting the internet between those who cheered her courage and those who called for boycotts. For 2 weeks, everyone speculated about her motives. Was it politics? A statement against billionaires? Personal dislike? The truth was far more personal and more powerful than anyone guessed. The morning sun shone through the windows of Alma restaurant on Valencia Street. Rosa Martinez wiped down the counter and smiled at the pictures on the wall. There was one of her grandmother in a small kitchen in Mexico City. Another showed Rosa on her first day as a dishwasher 20 years ago. And the newest one was from the day she opened this restaurant 5 years ago. "Good morning, Rosa," called Miguel as he entered through the back door. At 62, he was Rosa's oldest employee and best friend. "Ready for another day?" Rosa nodded. "Always ready." The bread delivery came early today. Can you check if the tomatoes look fresh? Alma wasn't a fancy place. It had 15 tables with simple wooden chairs. The walls were painted a warm yellow, and colorful paper flags hung from the ceiling. It smelled like fresh tortillas and spices that reminded Rosa of her childhood home. Rosa was 45 years old, with dark hair she kept in a neat bun while cooking. She had come to San Francisco from Mexico when she was 25. Back then, she barely spoke English and had just $50 in her pocket. She started washing dishes at a busy restaurant downtown. She learned English from the cooks and servers. She saved every penny she could. After 10 years, she became a chef at that restaurant. After 5 more years, she had enough money to open Alma. She named it after her grandmother who taught her to cook. "These tech companies keep changing our neighborhood," Miguel said as he sorted through the tomatoes. "The rent on my apartment went up again last month." Rosa sighed. "I know. The Mission District isn't what it used to be." She looked out the window at the fancy coffee shop across the street. It used to be a family-owned grocery store until last year. The bell on the door jingled, and Carmen walked in. She was Rosa's niece and worked as a server. "Good morning, Tia Rosa," Carmen said, hanging up her jacket. "I saw Mrs. Gutierrez outside. She said she's coming for lunch today." Rosa smiled. Mrs. Gutierrez was 83 and had lived in the neighborhood her whole life. She came to Alma every Tuesday for lunch, even though she didn't have much money. Rosa always gave her the special discount, which really meant Rosa paid for half the meal herself. "That's what makes this place special," Rosa often told her staff. "We treat everyone who walks through that door the same way. I don't care if they're rich or poor, famous or not. In here, everyone deserves respect and good food." At Alma, tech. Workers in expensive clothes sat next to teachers and construction workers. Sometimes Rosa fed people who couldn't pay at all. She never made a big deal about it. As noon approached, the staff prepared for the lunch rush. Javier and Lucia arrived to help in the kitchen. Carmen and Teresa set up the dining room. "Did you see that article about Elon Musk buying another company?" Teresa asked while folding napkins. "The man has more money than he knows what to do with," Carmen replied. "Meanwhile, my friend Pablo got priced out of his apartment because some tech company bought the building." Rosa listened from the kitchen as she chopped cilantro. She didn't say anything, but her face grew serious. She had her own thoughts about the tech billionaires changing San Francisco, but she kept them to herself. The restaurant filled quickly for lunch. Rosa moved around the kitchen with confidence, calling out orders and tasting sauces. This was her place. Every recipe came from her grandmother or was created by Rosa herself. The salsa recipe was a secret she hadn't written down anywhere. During a quick break, Rosa stepped out of the kitchen and watched her customers enjoying their meals. An old man reading a newspaper while eating soup, a young couple sharing a plate of enchiladas, a group of office workers laughing over tacos. "You built something special here," Miguel said, standing beside her. Rosa nodded. "This restaurant is more than just a business. It's my home, and all these people are my guests." She straightened her apron. "No matter who walks through that door, famous or not, they'll get the same treatment from me." Little did Rosa know that in just a few days, those words would be put to the test in a way she never expected. And her small restaurant on Valencia Street would suddenly be known around the world. 3 days later, Alma Restaurant was busier than ever. Friday nights were always packed, but tonight every table was full with a waiting list of people hoping for a chance to eat Rosa's famous enchiladas. "Carmen, table 5 needs more water," Rosa called from the kitchen doorway. She wiped sweat from her forehead with her sleeve. The kitchen was hot from the constant cooking, but Rosa didn't mind. The heat reminded her of summer days in her grandmother's kitchen in Mexico. The restaurant buzzed with laughter and conversation. A mix of Spanish and English filled the air, along with the smell of grilled meat and fresh lime. The colorful paper, flags swayed gently when servers rushed past. The critic from the food blog loved the chiles rellenos, Teresa said as she picked up an order. "He's writing about us next week." Rosa nodded but didn't get too excited. She had seen restaurants rise and fall based on reviews. She preferred to count on her regular customers who came back week after week, year after year. At the corner table sat Mr. Johnson, an older black man who had lived in the mission for 40 years. He came every Friday for the fish tacos. Near to the window was Professor Lee from the community college, with a stack of papers she was grading between bites of her burrito. By the door, a group of nurses, still in their scrubs, celebrated the end of their shift with chips and Rosa's secret recipe salsa. "Did you hear that mayor's aide who came last month?" Miguel asked as he chopped more onions. "He said this was the most authentic Mexican food in the city." "Good food is good food," Rosa replied. "I don't need fancy people to tell me that." The door opened, and a family with 2 young children entered. Carmen quickly found them a table and brought crayons. For the kids, Rosa smiled. This was what she loved most, creating a place where families made memories over meals. Her own son, Daniel, used to sit at the corner table doing homework after school. He was 28 now and working as an engineer. Rosa felt a pang in her heart thinking about him. They hadn't spoken much lately. "The mission has changed so much," said Mrs. Gutierrez, who was finishing her dinner at the counter. "When I was young, it was all working families here. Now there are so many tech people." "Some of those tech people are our customers too," Rosa reminded her gently. "Like those nice programmers who come for lunch every Wednesday." "Yes, but they're not like those billionaire bosses," Mrs. Gutierrez said. "Those big shots don't care about neighborhoods like ours." Rosa didn't answer. She had her own strong feelings about how tech money had changed San Francisco, but she kept them to herself. Alma was for everyone. She had served city officials, famous musicians, and even a few movie stars over the years. She treated them all the same as the construction workers who came in with dusty boots. "Remember when that basketball player came in?" Javier said as he flipped tortillas on the grill. "He was so tall, he almost hit his head on the doorway." "He tipped Carmen $50, Teresa added, "and he didn't even ask for a special table or anything." The night continued at its busy pace. By 8 o'clock, every seat was filled, and the waiting area was crowded with hungry people. The small restaurant was loud with happy voices. Rosa Audrey stepped out of the kitchen to check on things. She loved seeing her restaurant full of life. This was why she had worked so hard all these years. Suddenly, Carmen rushed up to her, eyes wide. "Rosa, there's something happening outside." Rosa followed her to the window. Outside on Valencia Street, 3 black SUVs had pulled up directly in front of the restaurant. A man in a dark suit stepped out of the first vehicle and looked around. "Carefully. Security," Miguel whispered, now standing beside them. "Someone important is coming." 2 more men in suits emerged from the other vehicles. They spoke into devices on their wrists and scanned the street. Pedestrians slowed down to stare. "Maybe it's the mayor," Teresa suggested. "Or a celebrity," said Javier. Rosa watched as one of the security men entered Alma and looked around. The Bowie restaurant grew quieter as customers noticed him. "Excuse me," the man said, approaching Rosa. "I need to check your establishment before my client enters. Is that acceptable?" Before Rosa could answer, the door opened again. The restaurant fell completely silent. A tall man with dark hair stood in the doorway. He wore jeans, a black t-shirt, and an expensive-looking jacket. Anyone who watched the news or used social media would recognize him instantly. Elon Musk, one of the richest and most famous men in the world. "Table for 5, please," he said casually, as if he were any ordinary customer. Every eye in the restaurant turned to Rosa. In that moment, she felt the weight of all she believed in, all she had built. Her restaurant, her rules, her values, and now Elon Musk himself was standing in her doorway, waiting to be seated. Rosa stood frozen for a moment as she took in the scene. Elon Musk, whose face she had seen countless times on TV and in newspapers, was standing in her restaurant. Behind him, 4 people in business clothes waited. They looked tired but important. The security man in the suit spoke again. "Is there a quiet corner where Mr. Musk and his team can have some privacy?" The restaurant remained unusually quiet. Phones were already appearing in customers' hands. A few were discreetly taking pictures. Others were typing rapidly, probably telling friends who was at Alma Restaurant. "We have a reservation for 5 under the name Taylor," one of Musk's associates said. She was a tall woman with short blonde hair and glasses. Carmen looked at Rosa, waiting for instructions. This wasn't the first time someone famous had come to Alma, but Elon Musk was different. He wasn't just famous. He was one of the richest people in the world. The owner of Tesla, SpaceX, and Twitter, which he had renamed X. A man who could buy the entire block where Alma stood without noticing the money was gone. "We do have your reservation," Rosa finally said, her voice professional. "Carmen will show you to your table." Carmen led the group to a corner table that had just been cleaned. The security men positioned themselves nearby, standing against the wall with watchful eyes. Whispers spread through the restaurant like fire. Everyone was talking about their unexpected fellow diner. That's really him. Should I try to get a selfie? What's he doing in a place like this? I heard he eats at fancy French restaurants. Musk sat with his back to the wall, scanning the menu casually. He wore his dark hair cut short and looked tired but alert. In person, he seemed more ordinary than his larger-than-life media image. He laughed at something one of his companions said, revealing a surprisingly boyish smile. In the kitchen, the staff couldn't stop talking about their famous customer. "Do you think he'll tip well?" Lucia asked, as she plated an order of quesadillas. "He could buy this whole building with the change in his pocket," Javier said. Miguel watched Rosa carefully. "Are you okay?" he asked quietly. "You look upset." Rosa shook her head slightly. "I'm fine." But her hands trembled a little as she chopped cilantro. "Let's just do our jobs like normal." Back in the dining room, Carmen took Musk's table's order. They asked for guacamole, chips, and salsa. and a variety of main dishes. Musk himself ordered the chile verde, one of Rosa's specialties. Other diners kept stealing glances at the famous billionaire. A few bolder ones approached his table for autographs or selfies. The security team politely but firmly turned most away, though Musk did sign a napkin for an excited teenage boy who said he wanted to be an engineer. "I can't believe he's eating here instead of some fancy place," Teresa whispered when she came into the kitchen with an order. "Our food is better than any fancy place," Rosa replied, but her mind was elsewhere, Teresa noticed. "Rosa, what's wrong? You should be excited." "Nothing's wrong," Rosa said too quickly. She wiped her hands on her apron and turned away. In truth, Rosa's mind was racing with thoughts she didn't want to share. Seeing Elon Musk in person had brought back memories and feelings she had been trying to push down for nearly 2 years. She thought of her son Daniel, who had once spoken of Musk with such admiration. She thought of the Tesla logo on Daniel's old coffee mug that still sat in her kitchen cabinet at home. As Rosa prepared the chile verde for Musk's table, she moved mechanically, her body following the recipe her mind knew by heart. Her thoughts were far away, remembering things she had tried to forget. She remembered Daniel's excitement when he got the job at Tesla. "Mom, I'm going to help build the future," he had told her. She remembered how proud she had been then, and she remembered how everything had changed. "Rosa, are you going to go out and meet him?" Javier asked, pulling her back to the present. "Maybe get a picture for the wall?" "I'm busy cooking," Rosa said. "He came here to eat, not to meet me." As the meals for Musk's table were assembled, Rosa found herself staring at the plate of chile verde. This dish was made from her grandmother's recipe, the same grandmother who had taught Rosa that principles matter more than money, who told her that how you treat people shows who you really are. "I'll take these out," Rosa said suddenly, picking up 2 of the plates for Musk's table. Carmen grabbed the others and followed her. The restaurant's noise level had returned to normal, though people still glanced at the corner table regularly. Musk was engaged in conversation with his team, pointing at something on a tablet one of them held. Rosa approached the table with the plates. Musk looked up as she set down the chile verde in front of him. "You're the owner?" he asked, surprising her. His voice was different than she expected, softer, with a slight accent she couldn't place. "Yes," Rosa said. "I'm Rosa Martinez. Welcome to Alma." "Great place you have," Musk said. "I've heard good things about your food." "Thank you," Rosa replied stiffly. Up close, she could see the lines of exhaustion around his eyes. For a brief moment, he looked like just another tired man having dinner after a long day. But then Rosa remembered everything else. Her hands tightened around the second plate she was holding. "Enjoy your meal," she said, setting down the other plate and walking away quickly. Back in the kitchen, Rosa stood with her hands pressed flat against the counter, taking deep breaths. "Rosa!" Miguel touched her shoulder gently. "What's going on? You look like you've seen a ghost." Rosa closed her eyes for a moment. When she opened them, her expression had changed. There was determination there now, and something else. A deep, quiet anger that had been hidden for too long. "I need to do something," she said. "And I don't think everyone is going to like it." Miguel's eyes widened. In 20 years of friendship, he had rarely seen that look on Rosa's face. It was the same expression she had worn when the landlord tried to double her rent, or when a health inspector demanded money to pass the restaurant. It meant Rosa Martinez was about to take a stand. "What are you thinking of doing?" Miguel asked. Quietly, Rosa untied her apron and hung it on the hook. "I'm going to ask him to leave." The kitchen fell silent. Javier nearly dropped the spoon he was holding. "Rosa, are you serious?" Lucia whispered. "That's Elon Musk out there, the richest man in the world." "I know exactly who he is," Rosa said. Her voice was calm but firm. "And I cannot serve him in my restaurant." "But why?" Carmen asked, coming through the kitchen door with an empty tray. "What did he do?" Rosa didn't answer immediately. Instead, she walked to the small office at the back of the kitchen. On the desk was a framed photo of her son Daniel in his graduation cap and gown from engineering school. Rosa touched the picture gently, then turned back to her confused staff. "There are some things more important than money or fame," she said. "Sometimes you have to stand up for what's right, even when it's hard." That morning, Rosa had read another article about Tesla. It wasn't the first such article she'd seen, but something about it had hit her differently today. Perhaps it was because she had just spoken to Daniel on the phone last night, hearing the sadness still in his voice after all this time. Rosa walked to the sink and washed her hands carefully, preparing herself. She remembered her grandmother's words. "Your dignity is not for sale, mijita. Not for any price." "I'll handle this," Rosa told her staff. "Just keep cooking and serving the other customers." Before anyone could argue, Rosa walked out of the kitchen and across the dining room. The restaurant continued its Friday night buzz, though people still glanced curiously at Musk's table. His security team watched Rosa approach, but didn't stop her. Musk was taking his first bite of the chile verde when Rosa reached his table. He looked up at her with an approving nod. "This is excellent," he said. "Compliments to the chef." "Thank you," Rosa said. Then she took a deep breath. "Mr. Musk, I need to speak with you privately for a moment." The associates at the table looked up in surprise. One of the security men stepped closer. "Is something wrong with our order?" asked the woman with short blonde hair. "No," Rosa said. "The food is fine, but I need to speak with Mr. Musk." Musk studied her face for a moment, then nodded. "It's okay," he told his team. He stood up and followed Rosa a few steps away from the table. Rosa was not a tall woman, and Musk towered over her. But she stood straight and looked him directly in the eyes. "Mr. Musk," she said quietly, but clearly, "I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to ask you and your party to leave my restaurant." Musk's eyebrows rose in surprise. This was clearly not what he had expected to hear. "Is there a problem?" he asked. "Yes," Rosa said simply. "There is. If it's about the security team taking up space, they can wait outside," Musk offered. "That's not it," Rosa said. Her heart was pounding, but her voice remained steady. "I cannot in good conscience serve you in my restaurant. Your meal will not be charged, but I must ask you to leave now." By this point, nearby customers had noticed something unusual happening. The restaurant grew quieter as people watched the interaction. Someone was filming with their phone. "May I ask why?" Musk said. His voice wasn't angry, just confused and a little curious. Rosa had prepared herself for anger or arguments. The polite question almost broke her resolve. For a moment, she considered explaining everything about Daniel, about what had happened at Tesla, about the 2 years of watching her son struggle. But this crowded restaurant wasn't the place, and she didn't owe this billionaire her personal pain. "I have my reasons," Rosa said, "and I have the right to refuse service." One of Musk's associates had joined them now. "Is there a problem here?" he asked. "Apparently, we're not welcome," Musk told him, still looking at Rosa with curiosity rather than anger. "This is ridiculous," the associate said. "Do you know who—" "It's fine," Musk interrupted. "It's her restaurant." Rosa stood her ground as Musk signaled to his team. They looked confused but began gathering their things. The security team moved closer, facing outward as if expecting trouble. The restaurant was nearly silent now. Everyone was watching. Dozens of phones were out, recording the scene. Tomorrow, Rosa knew, this would be all over the internet. Her small restaurant on Valencia Street would be famous, or infamous, depending on who was telling the story. But in this moment, all that mattered was that she was standing up for Daniel. For what happened to him. For what happened to others, like him. "Thank you for understanding," Rosa said, as Musk prepared to leave. He paused and looked at her with an expression she couldn't read. "Not many people would do what you just did," he said quietly. "I respect that, even if I don't understand it." Then he turned and walked out, his team and security following closely. Through the window, Rosa watched them get into their black SUVs and drive away. As soon as they were gone, the restaurant erupted in conversation. Customers were texting, calling, and posting about what they had just witnessed. Rosa knew she had just created a storm that would soon engulf her small business. Carmen rushed up to her. "Rosa, what did you do? Why did you make them leave?" Miguel came out from the kitchen, followed by the others. They all stared at Rosa in shock and confusion. "I did what I had to do," Rosa said. She felt both lighter and heavier at the same time. "I couldn't serve him, not after what happened to Daniel." "But Rosa," Teresa said, "no one knows that story except us. Everyone out there just saw you kick out Elon Musk for no reason." Rosa looked around at her restaurant. People were staring at her, some with admiration, others with disapproval. Phones were still pointed her way. The story was already spreading, but it was an incomplete story. Nobody knew the truth, except Rosa and her closest staff. "We have customers waiting for their food," Rosa said, straightening her shoulders. "Let's get back to work." As she walked back to the kitchen, Rosa wondered if she had just made the biggest mistake of her life, or finally done what she should have done long ago. Rosa barely slept that night. After closing the restaurant, she had turned off her phone and gone straight home to her small apartment 6 blocks away from Alma. She knew what was coming, but she wasn't ready to face it yet. When her alarm rang at 5:30 the next morning, Rosa forced herself out of bed. She made coffee and finally turned on her phone. Immediately, it began buzzing with notifications. Text messages, voicemails, news alerts, and social media mentions. More than she had ever received in her life. She ignored them all and got ready for work. Saturday morning was always busy at Alma, with people coming for breakfast, burritos, and chilaquiles. Her customers would be waiting, regardless of what happened last night. As Rosa walked to the restaurant, she noticed people looking at her on the street. A woman nudged her friend and whispered something. A man taking his dog for a walk did a double take when he saw her. Rosa kept her head high and continued walking. When she turned onto Valencia Street, she stopped in shock. There was a news van parked in front of Alma. A reporter stood on the sidewalk talking into a microphone. A small group of people were already gathered outside the restaurant, even though it wouldn't open for another hour. Rosa approached cautiously. Some of the people held signs. One read, "Thank you, Rosa," while another said, "Shame on Alma." A young woman with bright blue hair spotted Rosa and pointed. "That's her!" she called out. Suddenly everyone turned. The reporter rushed toward Rosa with a microphone extended. "Ms. Martinez, why did you refuse to serve Elon Musk last night? Was it political? Are you making a statement against billionaires?" More questions followed, but Rosa pushed past them all. Miguel was already at the door, waiting for her. He quickly let her in and locked the door behind them. "It's been like this since I got here," he said. "Teresa and Javier can't get through." They're trying to come through the back alley. Rosa set down her bag and looked around her empty restaurant. It felt different somehow, as if the outside world had invaded her special place. "Look at this," Miguel said, handing her his phone. On the screen was a video titled, "Restaurant Owner Kicks Out Elon Musk. Watch His Reaction." It already had 3 million views. Rosa watched a shaky phone recording of herself asking Musk to leave. The comments below were a war zone. "This lady is my hero. Who does she think she is? I'm never eating there." Musk handled it with class. Respect to him. Another woke. Business about to learn the hard way. Miguel scrolled to another page. It was the local news website with the headline, "SF Restaurant Owner Refuses to Serve Tesla CEO. Social Media Explodes." "It's everywhere, Rosa," Miguel said. "Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, the news. Everyone is talking about it." "X," Rosa corrected absently. "Not Twitter anymore. Whatever it's called, it's gone viral. There are hashtags. Sir Alma Restaurant, Charmanchu, Sir Rosa Martinez, Sraranchut, Musk rejected." Rosa sank into a chair. She had expected some attention, but not this. Not reporters, and protesters, and millions of views. Her phone rang. It was Daniel. Rosa took a deep breath and answered. "Mom?" His voice sounded worried. "Are you okay? I just saw the video." "I'm fine, mijo," Rosa said, trying to sound stronger than she felt. "Don't worry about me." "Why did you do it?" Daniel asked. "Was it because of what happened to me?" Rosa closed her eyes. "We'll talk about it later. I have to open the restaurant now." After they hung up, Rosa turned to Miguel. "We're going to open as usual. Tell everyone who can make it to come through the back door. We have customers to feed." "Are you sure that's a good idea?" Miguel asked, looking out the window at the growing crowd. "This is still my restaurant," Rosa said firmly, "and I still have a business to run." By the time they opened at 7 Orange, the crowd outside had doubled. Some were supporters, others were critics. Many were just curious onlookers wanting to see the restaurant that had rejected the world's richest man. Inside, Rosa and her reduced staff prepared for what might be the strangest day of business they'd ever had. Javier and Carmen had made it in, but Teresa and Lucia couldn't get through the crowd. When they unlocked the door, people streamed in. Every table filled within minutes. Most weren't their regular customers, but people who had come because of the viral story. They ordered food, but spent more time taking photos and posting on social media. "I'm at that restaurant." Rosa's phone kept ringing. News outlets, radio shows, and TV programs all wanted interviews. She ignored them all and focused on cooking. By noon, Rosa's email inbox was flooded with messages. "You're a hero for standing up to the billionaire class." "I'm going to sue you for discrimination against Musk." "Can I interview you for my podcast about anti-capitalist businesses?" "You've lost my business forever, you communist." The online reservation system crashed from too many people trying to book tables. The restaurant's review pages were being bombarded with both 5-star and 1-star reviews, mostly from people who had never eaten there. "Someone's trying to organize a boycott," Carmen said, showing Rosa her phone. "But someone else is organizing a support campaign to keep us full for months. We've had 3 people try to deliver flowers to you," Miguel added. "And 1 person tried to deliver a dead rat. We didn't accept that one." Rosa leaned against the kitchen counter, feeling overwhelmed. This wasn't about good food anymore. Her small restaurant had become a symbol in a culture war she never wanted to fight. In the middle of the lunch rush, Rosa's phone lit up with a text from Daniel. "Mom, People from my old job are posting about you. They're trying to figure out the connection. This could get ugly. Call me." Rosa stared at the message, her heart pounding. She had stood up for what she believed was right, for her son and what had happened to him. But now she wondered if she had only made things worse for both of them. The storm was just beginning. By Sunday morning, Rosa could barely recognize her life. When she arrived at Alma, a small group of protesters stood on one side of the entrance while supporters gathered on the other. Police officers had shown up to keep the peace between the two groups. "Freedom of business," shouted one side. "Stand up to billionaires," called the other. Rosa slipped in through the back door, where Officer Ramirez was standing guard. "Morning, Rosa," he said kindly. He had been eating at Alma for years. "Quite a situation you've got here." Inside, Rosa found Miguel and Carmen already, preparing for breakfast service. They looked tired but determined. "The reservation system is completely broken," Carmen said. "People made fake bookings for every table. We don't know who's really coming and who's just trying to cause trouble." "And look at this," Miguel added, showing her his tablet. The restaurant review sites were a disaster. Hundreds of one-star reviews had appeared overnight. "Owner is rude and political. Food is terrible. Disgusting service and even worse attitude. Health code violations everywhere. Stay away." None of these people had ever eaten at Alma. They were just angry about what happened with Musk. But for every fake bad review, there was a supportive 5-star review. "Best food in SF, and the owner has principles." Went here to support Rosa and discovered amazing enchiladas. Standing up for what's right makes the food taste even better. These reviewers probably hadn't eaten at Alma either. Rosa's phone rang again. It was Daniel. "Mom, I'm coming over there," he said. "You shouldn't be alone right now." "No," Rosa said, firmly. "Stay away from the restaurant. It's too public here." "But Mom, please, Daniel, trust me on this. We worked too hard to protect you. Don't expose yourself now." After hanging up, Rosa noticed her hands were shaking. She had started this to stand up for Daniel, but now she worried she had put him at risk. Teresa arrived, looking upset. "Someone posted my picture online," she said. "They found my social media accounts and are sending me nasty messages because I work here." Javier had similar stories. "My brother said people are trying to find information about everyone who works at Alma. They want to know why you kicked out Musk." Rosa felt sick. She had never meant to put her staff in danger. These people were like family to her. "I'm so sorry," she told them. "I didn't think it would go this far." "It's not your fault," Miguel said. "You did what you thought was right." "But was it right?" Rosa whispered. "Look what's happening now." By noon, Rosa's family started calling. Her sister in Los Angeles had seen the news. Her cousin in Mexico had seen the video. Everyone wanted to know why she had done it, but Rosa kept her answers vague. The real reason was still too painful to share widely. The phone at Alma kept ringing, with reporters and talk shows requesting interviews. Rosa declined them all. What could she say? The full story wasn't just hers to tell. In the afternoon, a delivery man brought a large envelope to the back door. Inside was a letter from a law firm representing an anonymous client. The letter warned Rosa that her actions could be considered discriminatory and might result in legal action. "They're trying to scare you," Miguel said when she showed him the letter. "It's working," Rosa admitted. As the day went on, customers came and went. Some were regulars showing support. Others were new faces curious about the restaurant at the EOC, center of the controversy. A few were clearly just there to take selfies and post them online with hashtags. By closing time, Rosa was exhausted. The constant attention, the divided public reaction, the threats, it was all taking a toll. As she locked up the restaurant, she noticed someone had spray-painted Musk rules on the sidewalk outside. At home, Rosa finally allowed herself to cry. She had built Alma from nothing, worked 7 days a week for years, created a place that served good food and treated people with respect. Now it had become a battleground in a culture war she never wanted to fight. Her phone rang again. It was Daniel. "Mom, we need to talk," he said. "People are starting to connect the dots. A few ex-Tesla employees have figured out I'm your son. It's only a matter of time before someone posts about it." "What should we do?" Rosa asked, her voice small. "I don't know," Daniel admitted. "But I want you to know I'm not angry at you. What you did, standing up to him like that, it took courage." Rosa closed her eyes, remembering the day Daniel had come home, devastated after being fired from Tesla. How his promising career had been suddenly derailed. How he had tried to do the right thing and paid a terrible price. "I just wanted someone to stand up for you," Rosa said softly. "I know, Mom, but now we need to decide what to do next. This isn't going away." As Rosa hung up the phone, she stared out her window at the San Francisco skyline. Somewhere out there, Elon Musk was probably in one of his mansions or offices, maybe not even thinking about the small restaurant owner who had refused to serve him. But Rosa couldn't stop thinking about what would happen next. The storm wasn't just beginning, it was gathering strength. On Monday morning, Rosa arrived at Alma to find a surprise. Mrs. Gutierrez stood outside the door with 5 other elderly neighbors. They each held homemade signs that said, "We support Alma," and "Rosa stands for community." "What are you doing here?" Rosa asked, touched by the sight. "Did you think we would let you face this alone?" Mrs. Gutierrez said. "This neighborhood took care of each other before these tech billionaires arrived, and we still do." Throughout the day, more neighbors appeared. The owner of the bookstore down the street brought coffee for everyone. The barber from the corner shop brought folding chairs for the older supporters. The florist sent a beautiful arrangement with a card that read, "From your real community." Inside, the phone rang with an unexpected call. It was Marisol from La Cocina, an organization that helped immigrant food entrepreneurs. "Rosa, we're organizing a community support dinner at Alma this Friday," Marisol explained. "Local business owners want to show solidarity. We can fill the restaurant with real customers who care about you, not just people taking selfies." For the first time in days, Rosa felt a spark of hope. Later that afternoon, Carlos from the Mission District Business Association stopped by. "This isn't just about you anymore, Rosa," he said. "Many small businesses here are feeling pushed out by tech money. You've become a symbol for all of us trying to preserve the neighborhood's culture." Rosa hadn't asked to be a symbol, but his words reminded her that she wasn't alone in this fight. A local newspaper reporter visited, different from the aggressive ones who had been shouting questions before. She wanted to write about Rosa's history in the community. "People know about you refusing to serve Elon Musk," the reporter said. "But they don't know about the free meals you've provided to homeless people every Monday for years. Or the fundraiser you organized when the elementary school lost its art program funding. Or how you kept paying your staff during COVID when the restaurant was closed." Rosa had never sought attention for these things. She did them because her grandmother had taught her that community matters. "A business that takes from a neighborhood but gives nothing back has no soul," her grandmother used to say. As the reporter left, A group of tech workers arrived wearing T-shirts from various companies, none from Tesla or SpaceX. Their spokesperson, a young woman named Priya, explained they had organized a support campaign online. "We want you to know not everyone in tech thinks the same way," Priya said. "Many of us believe in workers' rights and community values. We've started a fund to help small businesses affected by controversy like this." By evening, something remarkable had happened. The crowd outside Alma had transformed from angry protesters to a community gathering. Someone brought speakers, and music filled the air. A local artist began painting a mural on a nearby wall, depicting Valencia Street's small businesses as the heart of the neighborhood. Miguel approached Rosa as she watched from the window. "You should come outside," he said. "These people came for you." Nervously, Rosa stepped outside. The crowd cheered. Mrs. Gutierrez hugged her. Carlos handed her a microphone, but Rosa shook her head. She wasn't ready to make speeches. Instead, she did what she knew best. She invited everyone inside for food. The restaurant couldn't hold everyone, so they set up tables on the sidewalk. Staff from neighboring restaurants came to help serve. For a few hours, it felt like a block party from the old days, before tech billions changed the neighborhood. As the sun set, Rosa received a text from Daniel. "I've been getting messages of support from people who worked with me at Tesla. Some of them went through similar things. They want to tell their stories too." "You started something important, Mom." Rosa's eyes filled with tears. Maybe her impulsive stand against Elon Musk hadn't been a mistake after all. Maybe it had been exactly what needed to happen. That night, as Rosa closed the restaurant, Teresa showed her something on her phone. A crowdfunding page titled "Support Alma Restaurant and Rosa Martinez." It had already raised over $50,000 from more than 2,000 donors. "People want to help you fight whatever comes next," Teresa explained. Rosa was overwhelmed by the support, but as she walked home, she wondered if the community's goodwill would be enough. Because late that afternoon, she had received another envelope, this one containing a more direct legal threat and a reminder that Elon Musk had virtually limitless resources for a legal battle. The community had responded with love, but the storm was still growing. 2 weeks after Rosa refused to serve Elon Musk, life at Alma had found a new normal. The crowds had thinned, though the restaurant remained busier than before. Some days brought supporters, others brought angry protesters, but most days brought curious customers who had heard about the controversy and wanted to taste Rosa's famous chili verde for themselves. Rosa had gotten used to the reporters calling, the social media mentions, and even the occasional hate mail. She ignored most of it and focused on what she did best, cooking good food and taking care of her community. What she couldn't ignore was the legal pressure. The letters from lawyers had become more frequent and more threatening. One law firm demanded access to all of Rosa's business records. Another claimed she had violated civil rights laws by refusing service. The legal bills were mounting, even with help from a lawyer who had volunteered his services. Daniel called every day, worried about his mother. "Maybe you should just make a public apology," he suggested. "Say it was a misunderstanding." "Would you apologize to him after what happened?" Rosa asked. Daniel was silent for a moment. "No," he finally said. "I wouldn't." On Wednesday afternoon, as Rosa was preparing for dinner service, her personal email chimed with a new message. She nearly ignored it, assuming it was another angry note from a Musk supporter. But the subject line caught her eye. "Request for a private conversation. E. Musk." Rosa's hands trembled as she opened the email. It was short, but clear. "Ms. Martinez, I would like to speak with you privately about what happened at your restaurant. No media, no lawyers, no entourage, Just a conversation between the two of us. I believe we may have some misunderstandings to clear up. I respect that you had your reasons for asking me to leave, and I would like to hear them directly from you. Please let me know if you would be willing to meet. Regards, Elon Musk. Rosa read the email 3 times. Then she called Miguel. He wants to meet with me, she said when Miguel arrived. Privately. Miguel read the email and frowned. It could be a trap, he said. Maybe he wants to get you to say something his lawyers can use against you. Rosa considered this possibility. Or maybe he genuinely wants to understand what happened. That evening, Rosa called a family meeting at her apartment. Daniel, her, sister Elena, and Miguel all came over to discuss the unexpected message. Absolutely not, Daniel said immediately. You can't meet with him. It could make things worse, Elena agreed. What if he records the conversation? But what if this is a chance to resolve things? Rosa asked. To tell him directly what happened to you, Daniel? Daniel paced around the small living room. Mom, you don't understand how powerful he is. The whole reason I never spoke publicly about what happened is because I knew he could crush me if he wanted to. But he's reaching out, Rosa said. Doesn't that count for something? They debated late into the night. By the time everyone left, Rosa still hadn't decided what to do. The next morning, she reread the email. Something about its directness felt genuine. After all, Musk could have simply continued with the legal pressure. He didn't need to reach out personally. After much thought, Rosa typed a reply. Mr. Musk, I am willing to meet with you under certain conditions. We meet at my restaurant. After closing hours, no recording devices, no lawyers present. What is said stays between us if these terms are acceptable. I can meet you this Sunday at 10 p.m. Rosa Martinez. She hit send before she could change her mind. The response came just 15 minutes later. Terms accepted. I will see you Sunday at 10 p.m. When Rosa told her staff about the planned meeting, they were divided. Carmen thought it was dangerous. Javier thought it was an opportunity. Teresa worried about Rosa being alone. With him. I'll stay nearby, Miguel insisted. In the kitchen, out of sight. If anything feels wrong, I'll be there in seconds. As Sunday approached, Rosa found herself oddly calm. She decided to prepare a meal, not because Musk deserved her cooking, but because that's what she did when having important conversations. Food had always been her way of connecting with people. By Sunday evening, Rosa was ready. She had prepared her grandmother's most special dishes, the ones not on the regular menu. She had rehearsed what she wanted to say. And most importantly, she had made peace with whatever might happen next. At exactly 10 p.m., there was a knock at the back door of Alma Restaurant. Rosa took a deep breath and opened the back door. Standing there alone was Elon Musk, dressed casually in jeans and a dark jacket. No security team, no lawyers. Just as he had promised. Thank you for agreeing to meet with me, Musk said, his voice quieter than Rosa remembered from their brief encounter in the restaurant. Please come in, Rosa replied, stepping aside to let him enter. Miguel appeared briefly in the hallway, nodded to Rosa to confirm he would be nearby, then disappeared into the kitchen. Rosa led Musk to a table in the center of the restaurant. She had set it with her grandmother's tablecloth and best dishes, not to impress him, but because this was how her family handled important conversations. The restaurant was dark except for the candles on the table and the small lights above. The cooking area. I hope you don't mind that I prepared some food, Rosa said. In my family, we talk over meals. Musk seemed surprised, but nodded. That's very kind, considering the circumstances. An awkward silence fell between them as they sat down. Rosa poured water into their glasses, her hands steady despite her nervousness. "I'll be direct," Musk finally said. "In my entire career, no one has ever refused to serve me. I've been criticized, protested against, even hated by some people. But what you did was different. It was personal. And I want to understand why." Rosa looked directly at him. "It was personal," she confirmed. "But before I explain, I need to know something. Did you come here to understand, or to make me apologize? Because I won't apologize for what I did." Musk studied her face for a moment. "I'm genuinely here to understand. Whatever your reason was, it was important enough for you to risk your business. That interests me." Rosa got up and went to the kitchen. She returned with 2 plates of her grandmother's special pozole, a rich soup with hominy and pork that she only made for important occasions. "My grandmother taught me that food opens conversations," she said, placing a plate before him. This was her recipe. Musk tried a spoonful and nodded appreciatively. "It's excellent." As they ate, Rosa began carefully. "What do you know about whistleblowers at your companies?" Musk's expression shifted slightly. "Tesla and my other companies have proper channels for reporting concerns. We follow all legal requirements." "Legal requirements," Rosa repeated. "Is that all that matters? Following the minimum rules? Why don't you tell me what this is really about?" Musk said, setting down his spoon. Rosa took a deep breath. "My son, Daniel, worked as an engineer at Tesla for 3 years. He loved the company. He believed in the mission of sustainable energy. He worked 80-hour weeks because he thought he was helping change the world." Musk nodded. "We hire people who are passionate about our mission. 2 years ago, Daniel noticed some safety testing data being altered for the new battery design." Rosa continued, her voice now tight with emotion. "When he reported it through those proper channels, he was told it wasn't his concern. When he insisted, his manager told him to drop it." Musk's face remained neutral, but he was listening intently. Daniel couldn't drop it. He went to higher management with evidence. 1 week later, he was fired. The official reason was performance issues, but he had just received an excellent review the month before. Rosa got up again and brought 2 small plates of tamales. Neither of them was very hungry now, but the ritual of serving food gave Rosa strength to continue. When Daniel tried to find another engineering job, he discovered he had been blacklisted. No tech company in the Bay Area would hire him. Someone had spread the word that he was a troublemaker. "Ms. Martinez," Musk began, "I employ thousands of people. I can't personally know about every HR situation." "Let me finish," Rosa said firmly. Daniel fell into depression. The career he had worked so hard for was ruined. He had student loans to pay and couldn't find work in his field. He eventually took a job at a warehouse, making 1/3 of his previous salary. Rosa's voice grew stronger. "When I saw you walk into my restaurant, I didn't see the famous Elon Musk from TV. I saw the man from the company photo on Daniel's desk, the man whose company destroyed my son's career because he tried to do the right thing." Musk was silent for a long moment. "What was your son's full name?" he finally asked. "Daniel Martinez. He worked in the battery engineering division in Fremont." Musk pulled out his phone. "May I? I just want to look something up. Not recording." Rosa nodded. Musk typed quickly, searched for something, then read silently for a few minutes. His expression changed several times as he scrolled through whatever he was reading. "I remember this case now," he said finally, putting his phone down. "But The who? Details I was given were very different from what you've just told me. Of course they were, Rosa said bitterly. No one wanted to admit they punished someone for speaking up about safety. They looked at each other across the table, the food between them now forgotten. The restaurant was silent except for the distant sound of cars passing on Valencia Street. Ms. Martinez, Musk said slowly, I think we need to keep talking. Rosa folded her hands on the table. What else is there to talk about? My son tried to protect people by reporting safety concerns. Your company fired him and ruined his career. Musk leaned forward. The story I was told was that Daniel Martinez was let go because he threatened to leak confidential designs to competitors if certain changes weren't made. I was told he was trying to force the company's hand. Rosa's eyes widened in shock. That's a complete lie. Daniel would never do that. He loved Tesla. He believed in its mission. I'm beginning to think I was misled, Musk said. His voice was calm, but his expression had hardened. May I ask what exactly he found in the battery testing data? Rosa hesitated. I don't know all the technical details. Daniel said the new batteries were failing safety tests at high temperatures, but someone changed the test parameters to make the results look better. When he raised concerns about this, he was told the problems would be fixed before production. But he didn't believe them, Musk said. It wasn't a question. No. He found out the batteries were going into production without the fixes. That's when he went over his manager's head. Musk was silent for a moment, then asked, what happened after he was fired? Did he go to the media? File a lawsuit? Rosa shook her head. He was afraid. The termination letter warned that he had signed confidentiality agreements. He worried that speaking out would lead to legal action he couldn't afford to fight. And then, when he couldn't get hired anywhere else. Her voice trailed off. The blacklisting, Musk said. Yes. Daniel had friends at other tech companies who told him his name was being mentioned as someone not to hire. No one would say exactly why, just that he was difficult and not a team player. Miguel appeared from the kitchen with coffee. He poured 2 cups and gave Rosa a questioning look. She nodded to let him know she was okay, and he disappeared again. Those battery issues, Musk said after sipping his coffee. Would this have been the Model Y thermal expansion problem? Yes, that's what Daniel called it. Musk's face changed. That issue caused 3 fires after the cars were released. We had to do an emergency over-the-air update and eventually a quiet recall. He looked directly at Rosa. If we had addressed it before production, those incidents wouldn't have happened. Rosa felt vindication for her son, but it gave her no joy. So Daniel was right. It appears so, Musk admitted. And instead of being rewarded for trying to prevent a serious problem, he was punished. By people who claim to represent you, Rosa added. That's what troubles me most, Musk said. I pride myself on creating companies where the best ideas win, even if they come from junior engineers. What happened to your son goes against everything I believe about how my companies should operate. Rosa wasn't sure what to say. She hadn't expected this response. Ms. Martinez, I owe you and your son an apology, Musk continued. While I didn't personally know about Daniel's situation, I'm responsible for the culture that allowed it to happen. Rosa studied his face, looking for any sign that his words weren't sincere. She found none. What happens now? She asked. First, I need to investigate exactly who misled me about your son's termination. There will be consequences for those involved. And Daniel? What about his career? Musk thought for a moment. I can't undo the past 2 years, but I can try to make things right. If Daniel is willing, I'd like to speak with him. Not to offer him his old job back, he probably wouldn't want it anyway, but to help him restart his engineering career. And the legal threats against me and my restaurant? Rosa asked. Consider them gone, Musk said immediately. I'll call off the lawyers tomorrow morning. They talked for another hour, going deeper into what had happened to Daniel and discussing the broader issues of whistleblower protection. As the conversation wound down, Rosa realized it was nearly midnight. I should let you go, she said. It's getting late. As they walked to the door, Musk paused. You know, most people wouldn't have had the courage to do what you did, refusing to serve one of the richest men in the world, risking your business and reputation. I wasn't trying to be brave, Rosa said. I was just being a mother. That's often the same thing, Musk replied. After he left, Rosa sat alone in her restaurant for a long time. The meeting had gone nothing like she had expected. She had prepared for arguments, denials, even threats. Instead, she had found something she never anticipated: understanding. She called Daniel, despite the late hour. We need to talk, she said when he answered. Something important has happened. The truth was finally out. Now it was time to see what would grow from it. The next morning, Rosa opened Alma as usual. She hadn't told her staff about what happened during the meeting with Musk. She needed time to process it herself first. As she prepared the morning's first batch of chilaquiles, her phone buzzed with a news alert. She nearly dropped it when she saw the headline, Tesla announces major review of whistleblower policies. Rosa quickly read the article. Tesla had issued a press release stating the company would conduct a comprehensive review of how employee safety concerns were handled. The statement mentioned recent events that had highlighted potential issues in how whistleblower reports were processed. There was no direct mention of Daniel or Rosa, but the timing made it obvious to anyone paying attention. By lunchtime, the news had spread through tech circles. Rosa's phone rang constantly. Reporters wanted statements. Social media exploded with new theories about why she had refused to serve Musk. Daniel called in the afternoon. Mom, something strange is happening, he said, his voice filled with disbelief. I've received 3 job offers since this morning. Good offers from tech companies. One of them said they were specifically looking for engineers with strong ethical principles. That's wonderful, mijo, Rosa said, smiling through tears. Did you say something to Musk about me during your meeting? Daniel asked. We talked about you. Yes. But I didn't ask him for any favors. Well, something changed. It's like the blacklist suddenly disappeared. Throughout the day, regular customers came to Alma, curious about the news. Rosa served them with her usual warmth, but kept the details of her meeting with Musk private. What had happened between them wasn't for public consumption. Later that week, Rosa received a letter from the law firm that had been threatening her. It stated simply that their client had decided not to pursue any action against Alma Restaurant or Rosa Martinez. The matter was considered closed. Gradually, life at Alma returned to something like normal. The protesters disappeared. The news vans moved on to other stories. Customers came for the food, not just to gawk at the place where Elon Musk had been turned away. Rosa never spoke publicly about what happened during her meeting with Musk. When reporters asked, she would only say, "We had a private conversation and reached an understanding." Some people speculated that she had signed a non-disclosure agreement. Others thought Musk had paid her off. The truth was simpler. Rosa believed that private conversations should stay private, especially when they led to meaningful change. Daniel accepted one of the job offers at a renewable energy startup. His new employer valued his experience at Tesla, including his willingness to speak up about safety concerns. For the first time in 2 years, he was working as an engineer again, doing what he loved. 1 month after the meeting, Rosa arrived at Alma to find a small package on the doorstep. Inside was a handwritten note that simply said, "Thank you for your courage. Sometimes we all need to be reminded of what really matters. E.M." With it was a small glass figurine of a bird, a reference to the Spanish word alma, which means soul, but can also mean spirit or courage. Rosa placed the figurine on the shelf behind the counter, next to her grandmother's old rolling pin. She didn't tell anyone who it was from. That evening, as Rosa was closing up, Daniel surprised her by stopping by the restaurant. "I thought you might need some help," he said. "I haven't cooked with you in a while." Together, mother and son prepared a special meal, not for customers, but for themselves. As they moved around the kitchen, Rosa noticed that Daniel was smiling again, the way he used to before everything happened. "Was it worth it?" Daniel asked as they sat down to eat. "All the trouble you went through because of me?" Rosa reached across the table and took his hand. "I would do it again in a heartbeat. Even knowing how scary it would be, how close you came to losing everything." Rosa thought about it for a moment. Standing up for what's right is always worth it, even when it's hard. That's what your grandmother taught me, and what I hope I've taught you. As they ate together in the quiet restaurant, Rosa felt a deep sense of peace. The storm had passed. Her business had survived. Daniel was finding his way forward again. And somewhere along the way, she had managed to change a small corner of the world. Sometimes, Rosa thought, the smallest acts of courage make the biggest difference. And sometimes, when you stand your ground for the right reasons, even the most powerful people might just listen. Thanks for joining me today. I hope Rosa's powerful stand for what's right touched your heart as much as it did mine. I'm curious, where in the world are you listening from? Drop your location in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe for more engaging content that will move, inspire, and sometimes shock you. Until next time, thanks for listening.